Yellow, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for our second episode ever. Today we'll be continuing our talk on Sarah J. Maas's fantasy romance series on the second book, A Court of Mist and Fury. If you haven't listened to our first episode, please go check it out to get up to speed with the first book and also to learn a bit about us and why this is your new favorite podcast.
Yes, I'm Alex,
And I'm Ynez.
and we're
Book
the Book Witches. That was great. Okay.
Beautiful. So grab your favorite beverage, maybe a hot cup of coffee or a nice cinnamon tea and a blanket. Do just a nice grounding practice together. So make sure your feet, if you're seated, ground your feet into the floor. Spine is tall. And if you're comfortable, close your eyes just for a second. Maybe place your left hand on your belly, right hand on the heart, if available. And take a nice deep breath in. And open the mouth and let it out. As the next inhale in, visualize that stardust flowing into your lungs. And exhale the darkness. Let's do 3 more. Big inhale in of that sparkly universe. And exhale all the demons. Two more. One more. Really expand the belly out. Pause at the top and exhale out. And pause at the bottom. If you have your eyes closed, gently open them. Release your hands. Let's get into it.
Thank you, Ynez. What a beautiful way to leave the mortal realm behind and step into Velaris for the next hour.
Excellent, of course.
So before we get into it, we'll do our spoiler alert. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here again with us. I just want to make a quick note because in the first episode, we talked about A Court of Thorns and Roses being categorized as a young adult. And it was in the beginning, but I did want to just add a little adjustment that it is now officially considered more of a fantasy/romance in the adult realm. So just, wanted to mention that. And also, I think we mentioned in the first episode that there are 4 books, but there's technically 5 because Frost and Starlight is considered like 3.1. It's kind of a separate outside perspective. So we'll include that in episode 3 when we do book 3. So let's get into it.
Nice.
We're going to mention our spoiler alert now. So if you have not read the second book, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, please pause and go ahead and read that. If you are not planning on reading it, then just enjoy as we do a little concise plot summary before we get into our discussion. So Ynez, please lead us.
It's under 700 pages, so you can read that real fast.
Real fast.
All right, so just an overview summary of the second book. So we leave Feyre after surviving Amarantha and Under the Mountain. Feyre returns to the Spring Court with Tamlin, but she's totally traumatized, suffering from nightmares, guilt, panic attacks. And Tamlin is overprotective, controlling, and plans to keep her confined to his court, which makes her feel trapped and encourages this sense of PTSD, I feel.
Yeah.
But even before Under the Mountain, they're planning this wedding. So in the beginning of the book, they're planning the wedding, walking through the aisle as she's about to marry Tamlin, but she has a total panic attack and she begs anyone for her to save her. And Rhysand, the High Lord of the Night Court, is called, he is brings up the bargain that they made under the mountain and brings kind of kidnaps her to his court for a week each month. And
Because that was the original bargain that they made, right? When Feyre
right,
was originally under the mountain and Rhysand wanted to help her, they made the bargain that she would have to spend at least a week with him every single month, pretty much for the rest of her life or until he says otherwise, right?
right. And he conveniently chooses this time as she's begging to not marry Tamlin to show up and I guess kidnap her. And
Yeah, what a coincidence.
I
How
know
lucky for
how
her.
how lucky. Yeah, because when she shows up, he is totally kind, offers freedom, teaches her how to read, which Tamlin slacked big time on
Yes,
that.
that is an important note that we made that
Yeah.
Feyre is illiterate, so she cannot read as the story unfolds in the beginning. And so it's an important aspect to her evolution as a character when that comes, because that's when knowledge is she's essentially awakened to the world of knowledge. It becomes unlimited to her.
Right. And don't get me wrong, like Rayson is cheeky. He's a cheeky little mofo because he's teaching her how to read and like the sentences he's having her rewrite over and over and over is like Rhysand is the most handsome High Lord over and over. The most
Yeah, that's a good
playful,
point.
the
That's
most
like,
cunning.
talking about witchcraft, I think that there's a little level of manifestation happening there, if you ask me.
It's called spelling for a reason because you're
Indeed.
spelling.
Indeed. Look at that. Look at that.
Right, but she spends more time in Velaris, this city of starlight, vibrant safe haven in his realm, and she's confused because the Night Court is thought to be this place of torture, of like debauchery or like horror, but she finds this town of beautiful artistry and beauty and kindness. And as she spends more time in the night court, she learns and gets to know Reese's inner circle, who is Morrigan, Cassian, Azrael, and Amren.
Hmm.
And she starts training to use her new high fae powers, which she inherited from the first book where she dies and kind of absorbs all of the seven High Lords' powers when she was
Right, because
reading.
they each essentially give her like almost like a shard of their powers, right? And so that combines and she essentially becomes like this hybrid, most powerful high fae ever.
Right, like she's suddenly the chosen one who just has she's the most powerful. It's wild. And she's like
Yeah.
with this guy like who saves her. Come on. The dream.
Mm. Well, the second guy who saves her, right? Because I
Oh,
mean,
true.
if Tamlin saves her from her poverty-stricken normal mortal life in the beginning in the first book, and then Rhysand adds a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So to continue with our plot here, so as Feyre is realizing that her bond with Tamlin is pretty much toxic, not good for her, the threat of the King of Hybern grows. So this becomes the villain of the second book. It was Amaranth in the first book, and now we have the King of Hybern. So he seeks to use the cauldron to break the wall separating the mortal and Fey realms. And so the cauldron is really important in the Fey world. It's where life originates. It's what everyone believes. That's where life started in the Fey world and where all life originates in general. And so the King of Hybern is able to use the actual cauldron because it's not everyone is sure that it's a real thing, right? Some people kind of just have faith in this concept
Hmm.
of the cauldron, and then others say no, it's a real thing. And so it turns out it is a real, actual physical cauldron.
Hmm.
And the we mentioned, I remember in the first episode that there's only a wall separating the mortal and the fey realms. So they're side by side, and there are ways that you can access the fey realms through the mortal realm, which we obviously see when Feyre crosses over. And so
Mm.
Feyre, Rhys, and the inner circle, which becomes very, very important for the rest of the series, they work to prevent this by finding and nullifying the cauldron's magical power. So, as mentioned, it's a very obscure kind of thing. It's like, imagine like in our world, it would be like searching for the what do you call it? Oh my gosh.
The Holy Grail or something.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Exactly. 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 And it's the similar kind of idea, actually, like a chalice, right? The cup. I definitely think that there's feminine imagery and symbolism
Oh
in that
yeah.
because the container is always viewed more as the
A-
feminine aspect of creation.
And
And
water too, no? Water's very feminine.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so, of course, along the way, Feyre and Rhysand, they fall deeply in love. They discover that they are actually mates. And that is a big deal. Yes, that is a big deal. It's not just like when we hear the word mate, right? Mate is a very special term in the Fey world. It means that they are essentially meant to be, and they're like designed for each other
Soulmates.
primordially.
Yeah.
Yes. More like twin, like I guess what,
Twin flames. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of become a trendy term again here, but it would kind of be that kind of a idea. And so
Mhm.
the climax of the story comes when Feyre, Rhys, and their allies infiltrate Hybern to destroy the cauldron. Instead, they are trapped. Feyre's sisters, who are Nesta and Elaine. So, if you remember, Feyre is the youngest, Nesta is the oldest, Elaine is the middle. They are forcibly turned into high fate as well.
Hmm.
So, that's a big, big deal. So, her human mortal sisters are turned into high fate as well.
And it's
And
very
to save her,
traumatic for
it
them
is
too.
because they don't want that. So to be clear, in the human world, the Fae are not viewed favorably. They're feared. There's a lot of misunderstandings with what the Fae, and of course, they
Hmm.
don't know what it is. You know, these are magical folk, and understandably, the humans are terrified, as we should be of the unknown. I guess, right? If there's a safety issue, so. I digress. So Feyre pretends to reconcile with Tamlin in order to save her family and friends. So, big note, Tamlin turns out he betrays all of them by allying with the King of Hybern. So he
Yeah.
turns out to be a little
Bastard.
POS.
Yeah.
Yes. So she in turn pretends to reconcile with him because that is essentially at that point her only option to save her family and friends. And so she returns all the way back to the Spring Court as a spy. But secretly, she has become High Lady of the Night Court. So, very juicy and tantalizing, I would say.
Hmm.
I would say this is probably my favorite book of the series.
Yes, same. Oh my
Same.
God. Same.
Yeah, so it's a really important book, definitely. This is the book where Feyre transforms from a broken survivor into a powerful, self-possessed heroine. This sets the
Hmm.
stage for the larger war that is inevitably going to happen against Hybern. So
Hmm. Yeah.
let's get into our discussion now.
Yeah. So, I know. So I want to kind of go into how the book starts and like talking about how, um, her like transformation over time. Because the book
Yeah.
starts, she's so angsty. Farah is like almost annoyingly angsty. Like the first sentence is, maybe I'd always been broken and dark inside. And I'm like, okay, girl.
Mm,
Okay, yeah, me too.
mm. She is very angsty. Yeah, I think I've said this before, and as we continue our discussion and get into the later books,
Mhm.
Feyre is definitely not my favorite female character in this series. I we'll get into who I like more as we go on. But yeah, I agree with you, Inez, when you say that she's angsty and yeah, she's a little annoying to me. I'm not gonna lie, guys.
Yeah. And she transform I mean now she's one of the most powerful high fae in all of the courts, and so she's
And
almost
High Lady.
and the first high lady. Like,
Yeah, they don't have high ladies, by the way. It's not like a thing that's normal in the Fae world. They're just normally like considered consorts, right?
yeah, right. It's only like high fae, which are the males. Totally
Hmm.
patriotic mentalities. But
Patriarchal.
patriarchal, yeah. But she's still angsty, and I understand she has PTSD. She's been traumatized. Um, she's she's dealing with the trauma she dealt with under the mountain and having panic attacks and then being in a new place like the night court. But also being in Velaris, I think is also so healing for her. Like she is in this such beautiful realm. I don't know if you want to describe it here.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Velaris. So it's known as the City of Starlight, and though I appreciate the relationships and the characters in this book, for me personally, this was my favorite part of the book itself.
Mhm.
This is what I love about fantasy books, that it transports you into the world that feels like a dream. It feels like what you fantasize about, maybe when you're a kid, or maybe when, if you enjoy being creative and you like to paint and express yourself visually, this is to
Mhm.
me like what I would think of as like my version of heaven, or a heaven that I would love to live in, permanently perhaps. So yeah,
Yeah.
when Rhysand first takes Feyre there, it's a complete subversion of everything she's been told about the Night Court, like you said. So the Night Court, because it's, dark and unknown and
Mhm.
potentially creepy, there's a lot of stigma associated with it. So yeah, she heard a lot about it, and that it's all cruelty and shadows, but what she actually sees when let's talk about the geography and the setting first. So if you want to close your eyes to paint this in your head,
Oh,
you don't have to,
yes.
but if you like doing that kind of thing, there are snow-capped mountains cradling the city, and the Cedra River cuts through it. There are magic wards and glamours. So these are protective features. So it's completely hidden so that Amarantha and any enemies can never discover its existence. If we're talking about city life and architecture, there's white marble and limestone buildings with colorful rooftops, open air markets with stalls selling flowers, art, books, and jewelry. There's cafes and small restaurants spilling onto cobbled streets. And there's the Rainbow of Velaris. It's an artist quarter that's full of studios, galleries, and theaters, probably where Inez would be hanging out a
Oh,
lot.
yes, ma'am.
There's children playing openly in the streets, which, by the way, is actually a rare sight in Prithian, the Fey world, due to past violence. And
Mhm.
so the atmosphere in general, the whole place glows at night with lanterns and starlight reflecting off the river. It smells of bread, flowers, and sea air. And Feyre is struck by everything, by the beauty and also by the peace, the sound of laughter and music instead of screams or fear, which she has so unfortunately become accustomed to. And it's a big emotional impact for Feyre. Velaris is a sensory and emotional awakening after the suffocation that she experienced in the Spring Court with Tamlin. And so Rhys's essentially secret sanctuary, I think, becomes her secret sanctuary as well.
Mhm.
And a big note, and I'll let you maybe fill in the details here, or I guess we could just,
Yeah.
the big note that Rhysand actually sacrificed his own image to protect this city.
That makes Feyre realize for the first time that maybe Rhys isn't the villain in this story,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, because he's definitely portrayed, I think, a little bit to me, he is kind of like this Joker character almost.
Yeah. Oh my God. In the very beginning, when he's teaching her how to write and they're passing like little notes to each other, it gives me butterflies. I love it so much. Just like the little banter, and he's like being cheeky and cute, and she's being annoyed with him, but like she likes it. Because I liked
There,
it.
well, so I think this is now a good time to talk about the differences between Rhysand versus Tamlin,
Yes.
because there are not are there only physical differences, but obviously there are big vibe differences. So I think it'll be fun to do a little comparison and see, why
Hmm.
Feyre really gravitates towards one over the other and why, she really, I mean, of course one is her mate, but there's I think a lot of layers here. So
Yeah.
let's get into it. And we have something a little fun for today. This little disclaimer that these are AI generated, which we have to tell you. But these we created little images of the some of the main characters in the book because I think they are working on a show or movie, right? But well, we don't know
Oh
what's
yeah.
happening
I'm
with
not
that, or
sure.
I haven't looked into what the update on that is. But we just thought it would be fun and maybe put a face to the name, so to speak. So
Yeah.
do you wanna talk a little bit about Tamlin, and then I could talk a little bit about Rhysand,
Oh,
or we can.
you get to talk about recent
Okay,
who?
no, you can talk. Well, only because
I
Inez,
know.
you did mention that you were into Tamlin in the beginning, and I was like, ooh.
Oh yeah,
But you know
true.
what? If you want me
No, you're right.
to,
You're right. All right, I'll do. I'll do. Well, because okay, so Tamlin, they're both beautiful men. Don't get me wrong. Tamlin is
yes,
he's
I say are all
tall.
beautiful, right? I don't think it's like possible for a high fae to be ugly.
Oh, right. You're right. That's true. But
Low key.
Tamlin is more. I figured because he turns into a beast, and so he's tall. He's broad. He's heavily muscled. He's solid.
Ah,
He's like, you know, he's
right.
ferocious.
That's an important thing to know is that
Yeah.
that's one of his powers.
Right. And so I imagine his as this lion. He's this like mane, and he is like just powerful and strong, very muscly, like gym bros.
Yeah. To be fair, I kind of view all high fae like that in my head, and potentially all fairies in general, like even the low fairies. I don't know. I
A
think
little
that's
bit.
from my history of playing video games, and like the fairies or the fae are always portrayed. The elves in the games that I play are always portrayed as just bigger, more muscular, more attractive.
Oh yeah. Well, so Tamlin's like muscle solid. He's blonde, he's sunlit. He encapsulates spring. So
Hmm.
his eyes are green like spring leaves. He's sun-kissed. He glows in the natural light. Strong jaw, straight nose, very classically handsome. Maybe
Hmm.
not standing out, kind of like a Superman type. Does he have, because I think his power, he has wings, right?
Mm-mm, no. Mm-mm.
Okay, so he just turns into a beast. So he's more earthbound than skybound.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and he wears more greens, earthy tones to describe spring because I feel spring is more grounded into the earth. But
Definitely, and that's once again we mentioned that in the first episode. It's so true that the Fae that live in the courts where they live, they all have the appearance of that particular geographical location. So the spring court itself looks like spring heaven, and everything's in bloom and pink and light green and lush with life. And also its people tend to dress more in those like same kind of colors, and even their skin tones and hair, it's more earthy and
yeah.
light.
So Tamlin's this blonde Superman gym bro, right? So how does he
Yes.
compare to Rhysand?
Well, before we get
Oh
into
yeah.
recent, we're gonna
So let's
show the
put up.
photo. So here we go. Here's Tamlin. Bam.
Oh my God.
There he is. It's interesting. I kind of assumed, and I can't remember off the top of my head now, I kind of assumed they all have naturally long hair. So I think it
I
was
did
actually nice.
too.
That was nice to see a short hair version.
Yeah.
I was expecting greener eyes based on the descriptions. Like it felt like his green eyes like sometimes glow with like envy or frustration.
Oh,
Maybe
true.
so maybe I would say that this needs a little bit more of that piercing look
Yeah.
aspect to it. No, that's just my opinion. So
It's just my
is he
opinion.
do you
Yeah.
see him as the handsome guy that you envisioned when you first met him in the book?
He is handsome. Well, we see we he has a mask when we meet him, right? And so when I
Yes.
visualize him, it was more long haired, but yeah, I feel like AI also has that like dead eye look, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it might not encapsulate the emotion, but this one, he looks a little older. He looks a
Yeah,
little, I
he
guess
looks
he's,
a little like he's gone through some trials and tribulations,
yeah.
I think, here. I mean, come on, he's stressed out about the curse of on his court,
That's
you know,
right.
and he's losing sleepiness. He's like, you know, it's hard to look all fresh and stuff. Well, I mean, he has the spring court, so he can go for a little
Yeah.
swim in the pond
Yeah,
and
just
then
go take
continue.
a dip, dude.
But you know what? Let's be honest. We find out that this guy is doing some shady stuff, and
Yeah.
I feel that when you do shady stuff, that it manifests physically sometimes on your face, and I think we see that here.
Yeah, it does. So let's start describing Rhysand.
Yeah, so in contrast, Rhysand is a big contrast to Tamlin. So Rhysand, High Lord of the Night Court. He is described as tall, lean. So he's a little bit leaner than Tamlin. Tamlin is broad and Rhysand is considered a little bit more graceful. He's built more for speed and agility. Um, his hair is dark, so very different than Tamlin. It's almost black. It's described to have a blue sheen. His eyes are described to be striking violet, luminous, and framed by thick lashes, of course. And his skin tone is a warm golden tan, contrasting with his dark hair and violet eyes. And his features include sharp, high cheekbones, a sensuous mouth, and of course, a knowing smile. Yeah, it's like beauty with an edge. We talked a little bit about his
Hmm.
Joker personality. He's definitely a jokester. He likes to mess around, to tease.
Yeah.
And physically, probably another major difference is that Rhysand has large membranous Illyrian wings. So I kind of in my head I see like a archangel when I read it.
Oh yeah.
Um, and his clothes too. His clothes are different. Of course, he is mirroring the night court, so his clothes tend to be darker with jewel tones, more fitted jackets, kind of like fancy pajamas. I kind of think of Princess Jasmine. I'm not gonna lie. That was I really had this kind. Yeah, it's funny what you think of when you read different books,
Like,
especially fantasy. And so
yeah.
yeah, the overall impression of Reese, I'd say he's like a little bit more dangerous. He's a little bit more magnetic. He's definitely, yeah, he has like that darker character. You know, what else can I say?
He's
And
the
so,
tall, dark, and handsome. For real.
yeah, yes, yes. And so, to be fair, we of course had to generate a photo or image of Rhysand as well. And so here we go. Bam! Rhysand.
Yeah. Well,
There he is.
definitely has much more piercing eyes. I feel this time.
Yes. And I don't know, I don't feel like these are very violet. They feel more cerulean
Yeah, they're like bright blue.
if we're
Bright.
talking about. I like his shirt. I'm gonna say I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
that has the right feel of the night court to it. It's funny. I guess I had to go back and reread his description because for some reason I thought he had dark purple skin, dude.
Yeah, he was like dark. He was like Mediterranean dark.
But no, I'm talking
That's what
like
I thought.
dark purple skin. I'm
Oh,
talking about like dark
alien.
like grapes.
Oh. Hmm.
Like purple grapes color.
Oh, true.
I have
Yeah.
no idea why. I think once again, I need to get out of the conditioning in my head of the World of Warcraft night elves. It's really embarrassing. I need to like really separate it from that because I think that's really where it's coming from.
That's funny.
Um, I don't know. I could see. I was a little disappointed by this. I think he could be hotter.
He could be hotter. He's already pretty
Based on
hot,
the
but
book, guys. This is based on the book. This is not my personal
obviously
opinion.
our own hallucinations are gonna be the best, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You have to create that.
Yeah.
dopamine to keep wanting to read the book, man.
I guess in all
Okay,
the
no,
books I read, everyone's just hot, so it keeps me reading.
that's right. That's right. That's how you do it.
Oh my
No, but
God.
all joking aside, so Rhysand, he
Mhm.
embodies more like freedom, choice, and respect for agency. He really, I think, empowers Feyre more than Tamlin is ever able to. I mean,
Oh
Feyre
yeah.
is like begging Tamlin for stuff he can't give her. Meanwhile, Rhysand just like knows what to do right off the
Forces
bat.
her, like, not only teaches her how to read, but forces her to learn how to use these new powers, how to shield herself from her. Like, the first lesson is he penetrates her mind and is like, you need to push me out of your mind. Like, because so many other people are going to try to do that to you, and you can't let them into an of your knowing and everything, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So let's, now that we have that comparison, let's also talk a little bit. I think it's important to mention the inner circle and who they are because they become such major parts of the story as we get into the second book and then, of course, into the later ones.
Hmm.
Do you want to go over that
Oh
or I
yeah.
can go over it quickly?
Yeah, I can go over. So yes, I think she meets Morgan pretty early on.
I
And
think she's the first one, right?
right, so Morgan is this beautiful, like blonde woman. She's usually wearing a red dress, but she's
hmm
Reese's cousin, close friend, confident, and very bold. She's very sassy. We love Morgan. She's a
Yeah,
girl's girl.
definitely.
Um, and then there's Cassian, which he is an Illyrian warrior. That was hard for me
hmm
to say. Very charming, brash. He's also a jokester. I think Cassian and Rhysand kind of banter. They have their own like secret, not secret relationship. They're not gay or anything.
It's a special brotherhood, definitely a bromance.
Definitely, yes. They banter the most with each other, but they all love each other because there's also Azriel, who is also an Illyrian warrior, but is the
hmm
more quiet, mysterious, like not laid back, but is in the shadows and only
hmm
talks so when he talks, everyone listens, right?
Yeah, I kind of think of him as like the like gentle giant, quiet gentle giant, but also very powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one you do not mess with because he's so
hmm
mysterious. And then there's Amryn, who is not Fae, but she
We don't
encapsulates.
know. We don't know really.
We don't know really, but she's in a Fae body. She's ancient. She's powerful. She's depicted as kind of I kind of imagine her like a smaller woman, like straight, blunt cut bob, but knows her stuff and is like cutthroat. And you do not mess with her the most. She's like more scary than Azrael.
Definitely. And she has, I think they talk about like the silver flames that are in her eyes at times when she gets really intense or passionate about something, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So it definitely, I think, is a little foreshadowing, lets you know that there's a little bit more to her story than what is told. And yeah, there's a bit of a question mark, but it's intriguing.
Right. But all of these people, she now has like five friends who support her and encourage her growth. And that's more than she could ever ask for in the spring court.
And in her family, to be
Right.
frank,
Yeah.
she never got that. I mean, I feel like she always wanted to have that relationship with her sisters. I think, especially as the youngest and everything. I don't know.
Right.
She really got the short end of the stick. Not only does she have like the fewest memories of her mother who passed away when she was so little, she doesn't remember that, but also her father declined rapidly. He's unable to provide and he's pretty weak. And yeah, her oldest sister is just very resentful and angry. And so she
Yeah.
just went from this one place to this next place, which, to be fair, both felt like I think, strange places to her. She never felt like she found her home until she found Rhys, the Night Court, Velaris, and these wonderful people who
Mm.
eventually do become her family, essentially.
Yeah, Morgan and Amryn kind of become her new sisters,
Yeah, that's a good
right?
point. Yeah.
But
And hey, a good thing to note, right? We know that quote that we hear that is, I have to say, often actually misquoted. We say that blood is thicker than water, but that's not the right quote. It's actually the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which
mhm,
literally means our chosen relationships, our chosen family. That connection, that choice is more powerful, more meaningful than the connections of our bloodlines. So
right.
I think of you and, that quote
Yeah.
comes to mind. So
Love you. Oh my God.
me too. But yeah, so
Um,
let's get on to like really how this, now as we set the stage, really kind of the big problem of the book. What's the problem?
yes. So the Hybern threat emerges. So the King of Hybern is seeking to destroy the wall between the mortal and the Fey realms. And they totally want to massacre the humans and take power from all of the Fey courts. And so the
He's
night,
essentially power hungry. I mean,
right, yeah.
right? What else is new? These freaking men with their power hungry
Ah,
missions and
oh my God.
campaigns.
Do
Doesn't
not get
sound
me
familiar at all.
started.
I've never heard of that before,
No,
really.
who's that? No. Don't even
Only
get me
think of like
started, girl.
50 off the top of my head. All right,
Oh
continue.
my God. But so the inner circle, the Night Court gathers information and allies. And so they head off to the Summer Court. It's kind of like a secret mission because they go to meet High Lord Tarkin, who honestly is absolutely wonderful. I love Tarkin. He
Yeah,
is,
so this is the summer court, right?
yes.
This was really fun once again for me because we are
Yeah.
now introduced to a whole nother aspect of Prithian, the summer
Mhm.
court, which is totally different than obviously the spring and night court. So
Yeah.
let me
Yeah.
explain, let me give a little backdrop for the
Yeah.
summer court. So it's a lush oceanic court with turquoise seas, white sand beaches, lagoons, and tropical warmth. It's kind of like let's say the Caribbean dream, vacation of your dreams. It's the palace itself, it's built into a coral reef, so the sea is literally lapping at its edges, and it feels very vibrant and alive. So it's a very strong contrast to the darker or colder courts. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
the author, Miss Maas, did a very good job with getting the vibe right of the summer court because I just was like picturing like mermaids jumping in the distance and dolphins
Oh
and
yeah. Summer court's for you, girl.
seashells everywhere. Yeah. Oh, not in the sun though. Not in the sun. I'm not a
Oh
sun
yeah.
person. But so yeah, so it's known for being bright, beautiful, and abundant, and it's actually also less rigid than the other courts because Tarquin dreams of tearing down old barriers between the high fae and lesser fae.
Yeah.
He actually hopes for equality and progress. So we love us a Tarquin.
Yes, we loved
We
he's our
stan a
guy.
Tarquin. He's
Hmm.
good. He's a good character. He's very noble, very moral.
And he's so sassy. I love him.
Yeah. No, he's great. He's a great character. And so yeah, the Summer Court has a reputation for being rich in jewels and treasure, which, to me fits in kind of with the whole, you think of mermaids, so you have to think of pirates. I mean, in
Yeah.
my head anyway, right?
No, yeah, and me too.
And
But but
and so essentially the reason why everybody travels there to the summer court is because they need to steal the book of breathings. It's a powerful spell book, and this is essentially going to be the key to nullifying the cauldron.
right. And understand, so when they go to the summer court, Rhysand is still thought of to be this kind of evil, not it Tarquin doesn't really trust Rhysand, Rhys. So the inner circle is still trying to keep up this like idea of the stereotypical night court, but Feyre likes Tarquin. They build this relationship, and so when they steal the Book of Breathings, she like leaves. Feyre leaves like a little like, I'm so sorry, but we have to.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer, right? Because he's such a cool dude, but she essentially betrays him because she
Yeah,
has to take the book. They have to take the book, and there's
yeah,
like not really time to explain, you know. I kind of get
right.
it, and but then he eventually ends up being understanding and respectful, as our noble Tarquin is known to be. So
Yeah.
he recognizes that they essentially needed, and that Feyre and Rhys's motives were for the greater good.
hmm So I think after the mission, Feyre and Rhys kind of changed their relationship, right?
Yes.
So Reese gradually opens up about his life growing up, the truth about his role under the mountain, like playing the villain to protect his court. And Feyre realizes she's having feelings for him, and she's not sure yet because she's still traumatized by Tamlin. Rhysand still kind of took her away, like kidnapped her with the bargain. But she starts to remember Feyre is a painter, and so she remembers that she painted her and her sister's dressers, and what she painted
Mm.
on her dresser was a night sky.
Yeah,
And
right, because she chose symbols for each of the sisters.
right. And she paints the night sky because she feels so connected to it. I
Hmm.
believe she has like visions of just the beauty of the night, right? And so this
Yeah.
kind of feeds into her newfound feelings, but she's still unsure because of her PTSD that she's still healing from. And so as she's going through this, right, they have her take these other tests that they need to do.
Hmm. Right.
Right.
You mentioned it a few times, the PTSD and Feyre's recovery. And so I think it's important and interesting to bring up the trauma representation that the author portrays in this book.
Mm-hmm.
What she portrays as PTSD essentially is, of course, it's not named as that, but based on what Feyre experiences, which we gave examples as nightmares and terrors, and she has these intrusive thoughts and emotions, and she's
Mm-hmm.
replaying the things that were happening to her, all the trauma that she experienced. And so let's maybe talk a little bit about what feels authentic in the story and maybe what's a little bit more romanticized.
Oh yeah. Um, well, so I think the depictions, like the way that Sarah J. Maas describes her panic attacks, I think that's really real, and like her guardedness, Feyre's guardedness and like resistance even to like kindness that Rhys is showing her. I think that's pretty
Hmm.
real from like experiencing abuse and this toxic individual uh how do I say? Like the need to do everything yourself. I think that's a product of being abused, and like you can't accept help from anyone else.
Hyper
Yeah,
independence.
hyper independence. That's what I'm talking about. I do feel
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. She's definitely empowered. Yeah. In that way, I think, and the kind of cliche, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, which I think our generation, some of those in the older generations are beginning to really address that. Why
Mhm.
do we have to suffer to do that? But at the same time, I will admit that I am a person who believes that struggle and limitations do allow us to be more resourceful. It forces us essentially to become more resourceful and to adapt. And so I think that those practices are what create that strong character and strength in general and resilience. And so we do see that in Feyre for sure.
Right. I don't think
I,
everyone should experience trauma, but it's definitely great
sure,
character building.
sure, absolutely, yeah, that is probably but and it's true though, like not, I think you have definitely your natural genetics or your natural building blocks also come into play because not everyone responds, I guess what we would say positively to trauma, because in this case, her evolution and growth as a person is positive because she finds contentment and balance and happiness and safety, which is very important.
Yeah. Well, I think that's because of the support of the Night Court. No.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think there's parallels between Feyre's development as a character and her experience going from one toxic household to another toxic household and then finally finding her place in the world and her true family.
Hmm.
It's for anyone who has ever gone through the process of therapy and shadow work and inner reflection, I feel
Hmm.
it's a very parallel process where you start going through the motions, you start doing the work, and you're unsure at first, and everything feels scary and
Hmm.
and but then all of a sudden you get to a certain place as you've been doing the work and you realize, you look back, you're like, wow, a lot of what I tolerated in the past or
Hmm.
what I was okay with is pretty damn striking. It's
Yeah,
shocking.
I
Like what I
know.
was okay with, how I was okay with not being treated well and unfairly. So that's what it
Yeah.
reminded me a lot of.
What I do think what was romanticized is obviously because Rhysand also has nightmares too sometimes,
Yes.
right? And Feyre has nightmares, and so obviously when one or the other has a nightmare, it's just an excuse to get up in the middle of the night, half clothed in your
Hmm.
pajamas, to come comfort the other. So there's that whole trope, which
So
I'm
here's
not
the thing.
complaining.
Yeah, so definitely, I think there's a major from enemies to lovers trope in this
Yes.
book because it's set up in the beginning as Feyre being essentially unhappy, like, oh gosh, I have to be kidnapped every month. How terrible,
Hmm.
right? Another case of her though eventually growing into loving her new home and environment, which she didn't know she liked it at Tamlin's, but then anyway, so she always gets
Yeah.
up a little new level in it,
Hmm.
and she has a new discovery. But anyway, yeah, it's
Yeah. It's it's fun, but
this is another sexy book, by the way. So don't think that the sexiness stopped with the first book. Just because we're getting more into some of the political details of this story does not mean that Sarah J. Maas has disappointed with the sexy scenes in
oh
this book,
yeah.
because with the wonderful backdrop of the starlight and the satin pajamas and the beautiful curtains in all of the rooms of Velaris, there is also a lot of fun being had in
Right?
these wonderful beds that sound like they are made for gods and goddesses, and I would like one.
So the sexiest scene comes after when Valaris is attacked,
Hmm.
right? So during
Tell us. Tell
yes.
us.
So towards the end of the book, Hybern's allies send the Ator, which is kind of like his troops, to attack Valaris. They find it, they break the what's keeping Valaris invisible to attack the
Such a
city.
tragedy.
It's
Gosh.
heartbreaking.
Because you're right, like what we set up this beautiful and it's secret, and Rhysand sacrificed his whole image and now it's just decimated.
And then Feyre like really shows how she's badass in this. Like she's been training with Cassian, with Azriel, getting her wings. Like she's been practicing to fly and kills her attackers like mid-air, which is pretty badass. But she
Right,
helps defend the city.
we discover that she actually has wings too, that is one of her powers. So not all the, as we mentioned, not all of the high fae or high lords have that. This is a very special
Hmm.
aspect to the Illyrian warriors, which are specifically from the Night Court. And Rhys was trained as an Illyrian warrior as he grew up. So
Right.
she is also one they discover. Yeah.
Right. Yes, and just want to mention like the high fae. So Feyre and Rhysand are able to like retract their wings whenever they want, but
Right.
Cassian and Azriel, I think they always have their wings out. And they're kind of, I mean, in the more seductive scenes, they're a little more sensitive, these parts of the body, the wings.
Yeah, they're definitely used in a sexy context, I will say. Like,
Right.
yeah,
They're
if you
more
touch them, there's a little quiver, there's a little shiver, there's a
well, so
sigh or a moan.
okay.
Well, that's what it felt like. It's like,
That's
oh, don't
true.
touch my wings. Woo.
That's true. Well, so during the attack on Velaris, Rhysand gets shot by an arrow through his wings. So these rings are hypersensitive,
Right.
and the arrow is poisoned, I believe. And so
Ash arrow, right?
ash arrow, yeah, which is poisoning,
That's what we
poisonous
talked about. That's
for
one of the poisonous things to the Fae are the bark of the ash tree.
exactly. And I think it's at this point where they the inner circle kind of wins the war. It defends Velaris at this point, but with Rhysand in such a vulnerable, almost dying moment, Feyre is like completely realizes like I can't lose him. Like I love him, right?
Right.
I can't give him up. We've only just started our relationship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's a big, yeah. So then, as Inez mentioned, Valaris being under attack, this is, kind of, and it's important. It's a very important part of the book because, as we mentioned, we're devastated, right? So the reader has to get as emotionally invested as Rhys and Feyre are to help this
Hmm.
whole thing that's happening, to save the world, both worlds, essentially. So I think it's a really important part of the story. You really get roped in.
Right.
And yeah. So as we mentioned, Feyre during this whole thing, she becomes more integrated with the inner circle after this. And this is the point where Rhys confesses that Feyre is his mate. So he had known for a while, but he kept it secret, to give her time to accept it and come to terms with it. So she is angry at first, but then she accepts it. And of course, what is left to do but to consummate the relationship after such a revelation?
She like makes him soup. It's like traditional for the one of the mates to make the other soup, and if
Yeah,
they
you like
accept it,
like you
they
don't have
eat
to
it.
make me this soup, but just so you know, if you ever make me this soup, that's like the deal is sealed, dude.
Yeah.
Like the soup is the deal.
Yeah. There's like memes. I'm like, oh, can you make me soup? Whoa.
This better have been the best dang soup that Reese
Right.
has ever had in his life.
I don't think Farrah's a good cook, so
What? Where does that even come from?
I don't know. She's a huntress. She knows meat. She knows
She
how to
she just
spice
brings
meat.
the meat and pounds it home on the table, and then it's everybody else's job. She don't deal with that after that.
You're
That's
right.
hilarious. I think you're probably not wrong.
I don't know. That's just my headcanon.
That's hilarious. So yeah, so
Mhm.
how essentially this starts to, get it as we get into then the third book, because of course the second book will leave you wanting more, and it's not like you don't feel like it's complete, of course.
Mhm.
So then the next thing that essentially happens is that there's the hybrid confrontation, big part. So the inner circle, Rhys and Pharaoh, they go and actually visit the mortal queens. They go
Yeah.
to ask for help from the human queens. They're saying, "Hey, your world's about to get jacked up. And if you want to stop it, we can help, but you need to help us too." And so, as you can imagine, it's a very tense meeting because we mentioned the humans are very untrustworthy of the Fae. So there's a lot of cynicism and mistrust and tension. And
Mm.
while some of the queens actually are end up being swayed, the others completely refuse. And I don't know about you, Inez, but like as I was reading this, I was like, oh, those humans. It felt
Yeah.
very true, I feel, to what human nature, let's say the negative side of human nature, we see
Yeah.
people being afraid of what they don't know.
Yeah, I was like the humans are just egotistical, wants to hold on to the power. Why should we help you? We're fine. We don't like this is not a big deal.
Right.
Do it
And I don't think
yourself.
all of them even like believed them that this is a real issue, that it definitely some head in the sand action going, some denial.
Right. Yeah, right.
So they are essentially feeling super bummed that they cannot get the support of the mortal queens. And so eventually what happens is that things really come to a point when the king of Hybern kidnaps and traps Feyre's human sisters. And it turns out this is the point we discover that Tamlin has allied with Hybern. And he does so, though, not because he's just, a bad person, but believe it or not, he's actually so in love with Feyre, he does this to get her back.
Yeah, obsessed, more like.
Yep, he's definitely has toxic boyfriend vibes, stalker,
It's stalker vibes.
obsessive,
The bad way,
scary,
but in a
the
bad
bad
way.
way, in a bad way. Oh yeah, we might revisit this later. Inez and I just recently read
A very good book about a stalker
the positive
boyfriend.
side of stalking. Lights Out, just a small tidbit. Yeah, we'll maybe do another episode in the future on that. But
It's a
getting
little
back,
more, yeah, yeah.
let's just so anyway, so yeah, Nesta and Elaine. Nesta is the oldest sister, Elaine middle. They're kidnapped, and eventually the king of Hybern essentially uses the cauldron, drops them in there, and makes them into high fae as well. And
I want to,
Feyre kills and decimates Hybern soldiers in a just sheer rage.
yeah. She she's angry, she's upset, she's collapsed on the ground. Like half of the inner circle is like I think Cassian is like on the ground, injured, and um I it's so funny, like a key moment is when Nesta's thrown in and she's all high and mighty, like she's a baddie. And so when she's thrown in, it's painful, but she just sticks her finger and she's like pointing at Rhysand and she's just sinking into the cauldron. I just think that's really, it's so
I'm gonna say it
Nesta.
right now. Nesta's my favorite out of the sisters. She always has been. I just
Yeah.
love her. I think she's really okay. She's very hurt, and I think that that's what causes her to be such an angry, resentful person. She's known to be very like bitter and kind of mean, flat out.
Yeah.
But she's a very, very strong character and ends up really. I
Yeah.
love her development and I love her story and just in general how she is and her relationships with the other characters. So d- definitely
Right.
foreshadowing, I think, how she handles being in the cauldron because I
Yeah.
think the cauldron starts to handle her, but she handles the cauldron.
Yeah, she's a baddie and it like yeah, it shows how the cauldron kind of kind of take bits and parts of each other, but it also shows her complicated relationship with Rhysand because she
Yeah,
blames him. She's like, "You did this to me. Like I don't want to be Fae." And we'll get more into that in
right.
the later books.
And so that's essentially how this story in this second book, A Court of Mist and Fury, how it ends. That Feyre ends up actually pretending to be grateful to Tamlin that he broke her supposed manipulation and curse, and she returns to the Spring Court. But in actual reality, she's deciding to infiltrate as Rhys's spy to get more information on the relationship between Tamlin and Hybern.
Right. Yeah, because the cauldron breaks it Tamlin thinks he's breaking the bond that they have, but it's really they're just breaking the deal that they made that she has to go to him like every month, but it
Right.
never breaks the mating bond that they have.
Yeah, because Tamlin has no idea that they're mates at this point. So
Right.
that is the final reveal. So Feyre now is High Lady of the Night Court, and that's also because Rhysand allows it.
Right.
He wants her to be called High Lady. He says, "No, you're not just my consort, you are my equal in every way, and so I want you to have this title." And so I think that that is also a major way that we see Rhys being like the MVP when it comes to Feyre's empowerment and
Hmm.
her sacred feminine really coming into her, her full power.
Yeah. I wouldn't think Bryson would be as good if he didn't allow her to be High Lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I definitely think that
If he just kept her
that's
as like what the sidekick, just another high fae.
yeah. Yeah, well, that I think it would definitely have been disappointing.
Yeah.
He had to follow through on that. And so it's a big important part of the story because her status as High Lady, which as we mentioned, she's the only one, it's unheard of for a woman or a female fae to be able to be called High Lady,
Hmm.
because High Lord is what they call the kings of each court. And so it's a major challenge to patriarchal norms. And, we're all about that
Yeah.
here on the Book Witches.
Yes, we are. Fight the patriarchy
So
for real.
yes, yes, fist in the air, full stop.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
so,
so
so tell
yeah.
me overall so we both agree this is our favorite book in the series.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. It's all downhill from here, guys. I'm sorry. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
no, no, she's kind of not. It is. I mean, a lot happens, all right? It's definitely, I will tell you, I think that throughout this book series kept me at the edge of my seat. So,
Hmm.
though I felt it was easy to pick a favorite, I still wanted to keep reading even after my so-called favorite was over,
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely. I feel like the next one is really more adventure and like gets real political, like big picture type of stuff, which I loved.
I feel like if you're into like war details, like if you appreciate how like if you like history and how like wars and battles are set up and kind of like the building up of that kind of feel like the war and like getting ready for battle, I think you'll really enjoy the
Oh,
next
yeah. Oh,
chapters
yeah.
unfolding.
So, just want to shout out to my husband Chris. I made him read this series. I didn't make him, but highly suggested he read them. And I thought he would love the next one because of that, the like war strategizing and everything.
Hmm.
But he loved the last book. So technically the fifth book, the one
Right.
after
Okay.
3.1. Um,
Okay.
which
Right. So it's hard to, I think, pinpoint what you're
yeah,
gonna, but either way, I think the point we're trying to make is even if you're used to reading things like if you're, like more feminine stories or you like the romance aspect, I think that there's something for everybody within the series because
right.
we definitely have the romance aspect of it, the love story, we have the adventure, we have the fantasy descriptions. I think that it's
Yeah.
well-rounded.
Yeah, and I think Sarah J. Maas does a good job on like not getting things confusing either. Like with the whole big picture and introducing new characters. I think we meet a couple more people in the next book, and sometimes I have a hard time like remembering, but I was good throughout this series.
Yeah.
Right. So it's clear, but yeah, you're right. Like there's something in it for everyone, which is awesome.
Do you have a favorite new character? Because I
Favorite.
mentioned mine. Nesta is my favorite new character.
Right. Uh, Nesta, I liked her at the end of the last book, but I don't like her yet. Not at this point.
I think I
But
see a little bit of myself in her. I'm not gonna lie. I
yeah.
think that's kind of why I like her.
Yeah. I know. I relate most with Feyre. because of like the imagery, and she's a painter. And
Hmm.
um, I mean, out of the Powerpuff Girls, I always chose Blossom, so I'm that
Okay,
Leo
well,
type.
I think you probably know which one I was. I was the green one.
The
So,
Buttercup, yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But all right. So that was the third book. Do we want to wrap up?
Yeah, I
Second
think
book.
so. I think we did a really good job of talking about all the points. So we agree that this was a very important book for Feyre, especially. This
Mhm.
really was the peak of her, coming into her full feminine role, her full divine feminine role, sacred feminine role.
Yeah.
And she finds her power, she finds her family, her strong foundation, and
Yeah.
yeah, it sets up the story for the rest of the series really, really well. And I think that it'll be exciting to get into the third book, which is a court of wings and ruins. So,
Ooh.
tiny little spoiler, we talked a little bit about the Illyrian wings. I think it is safe to say that this will center a lot more around our Illyrian warriors, right?
Yes. Yes. Getting to know more on like Cassian and Azriel. And just like the lore in general, the Illyrian history, and getting more of the
Oh, yeah.
background too.
That's a good, yeah. If you are into like fantasy lore and you really like super detailed origin stories, creation stories, character arcs, the third book is going to be something that you really
Hmm.
enjoy. I think
Yeah.
the first book is great because it's just the kind of introduction to the whole thing. So it's
Beauty and the
obviously Quintus
Beast.
Beauty and the Beast setup, yeah, all of that. And then the second book for me, my favorite parts or the most satisfying scenes were the descriptions of the courts
Hmm.
and the scenes. And so I think the third one is definitely, yeah, going to be mostly about character, even more character development and feature.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah. So on
Now,
that note, everybody, thank you so much for listening. I do want to give a little shout out to our website, which includes our virtual bookshop
yes.
via bookshop.org. We will ask for you to check that out. So we've partnered together with bookshop.org as an affiliate, which means that we have our own little virtual bookshop that is available via our website. We also have the links in YouTube in our bio, so please check that out. And bookshop.org is a really great organization. They work together with local indie bookstores. And so to kind of, talking about fighting the patriarchy, fighting the corporate evil machine,
Hmm.
um, bookshop.org does a really good job with that because all the money
Proceeds.
that all the proceeds, thank you, go to supporting local bookstores. And so we are supporting Vroman's in Pasadena, California, the largest bookstore in Southern California. If there are others that you want to give a shout out to, let us know in the comments, send us a message. We're always happy to support others, but that's one of the ones that we know and love.
Hmm.
So every purchase that you make not only supports Romans, but we also get a percentage of that. So if you enjoy what we do, if you like hearing our book talks and you want to join in on the conversation as well, please help support
Yes.
us so we can keep this project of love going.
And if you haven't already bought the series, please buy it through us and just help
The
small business
cause.
going. Yeah, the
Yeah,
cause.
yeah, and it's really, if you go on bookshop.org, they have a lot of different things. So we've created our own virtual bookshop, which essentially has the books that we specifically recommend, those books that are available on the podcast. But just we have all different categories. We even have tarot cards that we have available for sale. So
Hmm.
there's something for everybody. So if you are looking for a
Ooh.
book, and even if you're looking for a book and you don't see it, we can always add books to our bookshop as well. So always
Hmm.
feel like you can just drop us a little message or comment, and we'll be happy to support you as well.
Yeah, if you see a book on there you recommend or that you've read and you want us to talk about it too, drop a comment and we'll incorporate it maybe in one of our episodes.
Yeah, so
Oh,
actually on our coffee page, if you go on our, we'll have those links as well. If you want to buy us a brew on coffee, we actually have an active poll going on right now for what
beautiful.
kind of genres people want to hear about on the show, what kind of books. So please go ahead and you don't have to donate to us to drop your vote in the poll. So please just check us out, and we are happy to be doing this. And thank you
Yeah.
for listening.
This is all on our website, bookwitchespodcast.com.
Thank you so much. See you between the lines.
We love y'all. See you next moon.